Aurora's mayor tells Next the city will spend money to house the people displaced by the shutdown of an apartment owned by people the mayor calls out-of-state slumlords.
There's a moral obligation upon the city.
While some on city council are siding with the landlord, claiming the city is covering up a takeover of the apartment complex by a Venezuelan gang, even as police urge them to use caution about misinformation. Coloradans will again make a decision about nature at the ballot box, deciding whether to ban big cat hunting. And the mystery of Denver's Eiffel Tower. Why is this thing here?
You can just tell everybody and lie to everyone and say you were in France for a day.
Tell them you went with us on Next. Aurora's mayor says the city will spend money on temporary housing for people who are living in an apartment complex being shut down by the city for terrible living conditions. Some of the 85 families living in that apartment building near Colfax and Nome gathered today along with community advocates asking for more time. They've been ordered out in 6 days. They're asking that they not be punished for the fact that the landlord allowed horrendous conditions to develop over years there. Piles of garbage, rats, sewer backups, no electricity.
Most assistance programs require time to resettle someone to another home. The planning and execution of this abatement is reckless and insufficient.
Today, Aurora Mayor Mike Kaufman told us that the municipal code dictates the faster timeline for closing that apartment building. He called the owners out-of-state slumlords who are currently being taken to court by the city for allowing their properties to become so dangerous. That property owner and now 3 conservative city council members in Aurora say that the residents and the city are not telling the truth. They claim, without evidence, that the building is actually being closed because it was taken over by a Venezuelan gang.
That building has been a problem for years.
Mountains of garbage, rats, sewage, no electricity. Aurora Mayor Mike Kaufman defends the unprecedented decision by the city to close the entire apartment building at Colfax and Nome.
We've been working with this building and its owners for a very long time. I mean, they're out-of-state slumlords, and they haven't maintained the building.
The landlord from New York has hired a public relations firm out of Florida and now has several of Mayor Kaufman's fellow conservatives on Aurora City Council convinced that the real issue is not years of code violations, but a city cover-up of a takeover of the complex by a Venezuelan gang.
We have a Venezuelan gang problem that has taken over a number of our apartment complexes.
The city of Aurora says that's not true, and Aurora police urge City Council to be wary of misinformation.
We don't know that all the information that's publicly out there right now is correct. It's probably not.
Aurora police say they believe the Venezuelan gang Tren de Aragua is operating inside the Denver metro area. There's a new task force working to identify the number of gang members and what they're doing.
They're here. We know they're here. We think this was a test.
City Councilwoman Danielle Jurinsky suggested that a recent mass gathering of Venezuelans to await election results was linked to the gang. Mayor Kaufman says it's counterproductive to conflate a gathering of thousands of people with gang activity at a time when Aurora needs help from Venezuelan immigrants to root out the gang.
It's challenging because they tend to prey on their own. In other words, these are Venezuelan gang members within the Venezuelan community, which is new to our area, and there's a fear factor in terms of trying to get the cooperation among these Venezuelan migrants to report, that they're being victimized.
The conservatives on city council made clear that nothing the mayor or police were saying trumped their feelings.
This is what we believe. Our opinions are not up for debate. This is our beliefs. The 3 of us believe that there is a gang problem, a huge gang problem, that apartment complexes and areas of our city are being taken over.
Mayor Kaufman said that his own recent comments about parts of Aurora being taken over by violent criminals was not a reference to the violent gang. Kaufman said he was talking about parts of Colfax that had long-standing issues with violence, drug dealing, and prostitution. You can see my full conversation with Mayor Kaufman on the Next YouTube channel and on 9news.com. Election denier and former Mesa County Clerk Tina Peters lost an attempt to have her felony charges tossed out today. The judge rejected her motion for acquittal, and so now it's her defense team's turn to present their case in her election system tampering trial. The first witness for Peters' defense is Sharona Bishop. She's a fellow far-right election denier. She was also Congresswoman Lauren Boebert's original campaign manager. Prosecutors say that Bishop was involved in, but not charged with a crime for this plan to breach Mesa County's voting system in search of election rigging. Today, Peters was advised of her right to testify in her own defense, but warned that she, of course, could be cross-examined. Peters and her team have not yet said whether she will testify. Attorney meteorologist Corey Reppenhagen, and man, it's been a loud afternoon around the Denver metro area.
Yeah, better late than never with these monsoons, but they're definitely coming through. The monsoon moisture delivering. We do have a flash flood warning ongoing here in the quarry burn area. Now, when the rain falls on burned ground, it runs very quickly. So there is some concern here for flash flooding. This is the storm that busted through the Denver metro area at about 5 o'clock. And look at it go. Tested that burn area pretty good. Good news is, though, it moved pretty quick through there. The heavy rain only lasted about 30 minutes. Elsewhere, we have a little bit of a clearing along the Front Range for now. Next wave is building. There is some potential that we could see another one of those loud thunderstorms move through the Denver area and the Front Range. 68 degrees today. That's another headline. That is the coolest day in Denver since May 21st, 79 days ago. And we'll have another cool day tomorrow. Look at these temperatures. Northeast Colorado here will be in the upper 60s and low 70s. Once again, a cooler overall day. We'll be looking for those storms. Here's Futurecast showing storms very early in the morning out in southwest Colorado, expanding up to the I-70 mountain corridor by about 10:30. We'll have one wave move through pretty early here in Denver, and then probably a stronger wave in the evening hours, late afternoon, evening hours. So we're looking at another day of potentially very heavy rain. And in the 7-day forecast, you'll notice scattered showers throughout the entire 7-day length because of that monsoon moisture. And we have the potential to stay below 90 for the next 7 days.
So Coloradans are going to get to play wildlife expert on the ballot again this November. You remember how well that worked when people in urban areas voted to put wolves into rural areas a few years back. Well, now it's an initiative to ban the hunting of mountain lions. Our Evan Krugel takes a look.
The elusive mountain lion is most commonly captured on surveillance cameras. But every year, about 500 lions are captured and killed in Colorado, like this one, killed by former Denver Bronco Derek Wolfe.
And I think that that's really surprising to people because we have such a high standard of ethics here in Colorado that most people assume this isn't happening.
Samantha Miller works for Cats Aren't Trophies, the group behind a November ballot initiative to ban the hunting of mountain lions in Colorado.
To me, this is a common sense proposal. There's really no place for cruel and inhumane trophy hunting or trapping in Colorado.
Colorado Parks and Wildlife has handled mountain lion populations since the 1960s and requires hunters turn over carcasses for inspection after a kill. It says the state's mountain lion population is healthy and robust, crediting hunting as one tool to maintain stable populations.
You know, there's the old adage, right? If it's not broke, don't fix it kind of scenario. And I think this is one of those situations.
Pat Dorsey is a hunter who's against the proposal and says Parks and Wildlife, not voters, should decide issues involving wildlife.
Colorado Parks and Wildlife uses a lot of information to set those mountain lion numbers. And mountain lions are some of the most regulated species in the state. And that's why that ballot box biology is a bad idea.
This is not a ballot box biology question. This is a question of values, a question of ethics, and it really empowers CPW to continue managing mountain lions, bobcats, and Canada lynx as they always have. It just removes the ability for folks that want to kill them in really cruel and inhumane ways to continue doing that.
Now, CPW estimates there are currently around 4,000 mountain lions in the state. They declined our interview requests today, saying they will not be taking a side on this issue. Kyle?
I've never seen a mountain lion carrying a wallet, so who's paying for this?
A lot of money coming in, just like we saw with wolves back in 2020. Same thing is happening here again. Groups like Animal Wellness Action have contributed hundreds of thousands of dollars to the groups behind leading this proposal. Now, they argue the opponents are getting lots of money as well. Hunting groups like Safari Club International now getting involved trying to stop this.
All right, Evan Krugel, thank you.
You bet.
Very unromantic, un-Paris Eiffel Tower mini version right here.
A small, possibly French mystery in Denver. Why does the city have a random little Eiffel Tower in the middle of an empty lot? And a neighborhood holds a political race where honestly, every candidate should win. And Albania's slim window to win its first Olympic medal is closing fast in Paris. We still haven't given up on Albania mania. Next. Not all of us will visit the Eiffel Tower in Paris, but you could swing by the small one that sits in a dirt lot in Denver. Why exactly is that thing there after all? Our Marshall Zellinger has wondered for a while. He joins us now from what they call the Paris of Denver, 41st and Wynkoop in Rhino.
Luckily, unlike the Matt Renew Paris, I'm not getting poured on, so I have that going for me so far. Kyle, I came to an event at Mission Ballroom a year and a half ago, and I saw this thing, and I'm like, I should probably do a story on that sometime. Why is it here? And then I forgot about it. And then it's like, hey, we're coming up with stories for the Olympics, and okay, let's figure out why this is here.
There's nothing French around here that I'm aware of.
It looks a little rough, but it's moved around a bit.
It's completely out of place.
It has been a mission of mine to find out why this Eiffel Tower replica lives outside Mission Ballroom.
Just in the middle of like a random lot that is full of gravel.
Carla Beth and Kelly overlooked the Eiffel Tower.
You can just tell everybody and lie to everyone and say you were in France for a day.
Julian lives by the Eiffel Tower too.
They need to put up some lights. They need to bring a little bit more France over here. Maybe have a cute little restaurant.
None of them seem to know why they have a view of the Paris landmark.
It began as a sort of treasure from a past tenant of ours in the event production business.
Ali Fredine, with the developer Westfield, described the replica as a bit of lost and found from a warehouse that was demolished to make way for the development that is now Mission Ballroom.
The only piece that actually sat out on Brighton Boulevard, pre-sidewalk days, I should add, was this quirky Eiffel Tower.
We were told that it was some vestige of an old fabricator or welder or somebody on the block had put this thing up.
Keenan Stoner may know the Eiffel Tower the best, even if he doesn't know where it came from.
I've actually climbed up and down that thing probably 50 times because I was the guy who was entrusted to go ahead and hang the cables for all the bistro lights that connected around the food park.
When Mission Ballroom opened, the Eiffel Tower was a centerpiece of an outdoor pop-up to entertain concert goers.
Before they knew that we might reuse it, I don't think they handled it with quite as much care once we decided we wanted it.
It definitely looks a little rusty.
It has definitely seen better days.
The fact that she's a little off, it's just a little reminiscent.
But where did it come from before the warehouse that was demolished? One theory from Westfield took me on a quest to this building near I-25 and Broadway. In the late 80s, this was a French department store called Printemps, the first location in the U.S. It only lasted about 18 months. I talked with several people with ties to the store, and none could remember a miniature Eiffel Tower.
There's enough people that have been around Denver long enough that are still here that may very well have some stories about that Eiffel Tower.
Talk about a missed opportunity to brand this around something Olympics related, like put up a screen and have a watch party out here for all the Colorado athletes, Kyle?
That's amazing. The thing is both kind of sad and wonderful, if it can be both, and maybe, just maybe, somebody watching tonight knows. Marshall Zellinger, thank you. So Team USA is building a mountain of gold medals in Paris. I'll tell you who is not doing so hot. Our friends in Albania. But we are undeterred. We continue to cheer for Albania Mania as they are our favored underdog. Let's take a look at how they're doing. So, 31-year-old featherweight Zemljan Ubakarov, widely considered to be a legit medal contender. He's brought home the gold from the 2022 World Wrestling Championships in Belgrade, Serbia, but he wants the real deal, the real Olympic gold. Wrestling fans predicted he'd cruise past his challenger from India. They said that Ubakarov was vastly experienced, predicted he would cruise to an easy gold. Ha ha! So what happened? He lost. He lost bad. he fell 12-0 to the same competitor he just beat 11-0 last year. The fans were stunned. They called it shocking, a disaster class. Starting to regret our choice to show the Albanian medal count each night, but there it is again. It's all zeros across the board, and there are only 2 Albanians yet to compete. But yet still, we believe, because the 2 wrestlers left are Albania's best. So here's hoping that European champion Islam Dudavev, who wrestles this weekend, maybe former European champion Sherman Veliev, they hit the mat tomorrow. Maybe they could do it for Albania.
I think our ultimate goal was just to lighten up this campaign.
You know, it is a simple, worthy goal. Bring some unity in a time of division. Thank you, dogs. Political debates between neighbors can get testy. Just ask Justice Alito's wife. But 2 neighbors in Arvada are having some fun with this season of competing yard signs.
We know that this election year is kind of anxious for all of us. So we came up with the idea of just making our neighbors walk by and smile.
And that's Molly over there. We're just going to say hi.
Plus it has a dog on it, so you know. You can't beat that.
We had the opportunity to lighten things up, and so we went for it. Good girl, Molly.
And this is Molly Kaufman. She's running for president. And we happen to have a dog next door that is also running for president.
This is our beloved dog, Chloe. She like trances out on the ball. She looks insane right now.
She's always been the one that corrals all the other dogs at the dog park. So I knew she had kind of a head for politics and leadership.
They've lived next door to each other for years, and they respect each other's views.
Her stance is anti-squirrel. She just wants more treats for everyone in the community.
She's older. She's wiser. Chloe. She's wandering off.
Even though the election year can be a little anxious for us, it's good to remember that, you know, you just have to keep everything in perspective and still be kind to your neighbor, and that's what's really most important.
Okay, get your ball.
Politician who listens, that's something new. Feedback tonight from producer Jacqueline, and he runs the Ozone, which is on right after next. Check out that Ozone. Your feedback next. All right, we've already got 2 leads on the small Eiffel Tower in the dirt lot in Denver that Marshall Zellinger showed us. Rose thinks that there used to be one about the same size that sat at 14th and Race. Does that ring a bell for anybody? Jack says he thinks that it might have come from the kiddie ride area at the old location of Elitch Gardens. Does that make sense to anybody? Any other ideas on where the small Eiffel Tower came from? We'll track it down together. A number of you wrote in concerned that Corey was wearing a tie on air tonight. Text says Corey Reppenhagen has been domesticated and brought indoors. No. Don't fear. That stallion cannot be tamed. He'll be back in the wild again soon. We'll see you next time.